what's up guys, ShinyHunterDestroyer here and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon Journeys anime discussion video. Today I'll be talking about episode 66, which is titled Flebebe's White Flower. And no, I won't buy it anymore. Are you telling me that for a flower, Mr. Sakuragi over there is gonna buy plane tickets for our boys to go to Kalos? Where are you getting these tickets, Professor? What black market are you searching through? And thank you, because if you didn't, we wouldn't have gotten this episode. This episode starts off at the Cerise Park, where Go and Ash see 4 of Go's Flebebes racing at the flower fields, where they would shortly evolve into Floettes. But wait, that's off. Go had 5 Floettes. Where's the other one? Well, the other one was the white flower Flebebe, who was left behind since it was hard to fly with a flower that lost one of its petals. So off to Kalos we go to see if we can get Flebebe a new flower. They arrive to Kalos with Flebebe, leading them to where she ended up getting her own white flower. They arrive to this area though in shock as they see no white flower, but instead rocks that were said to have landed right on top of these flowers. Flebebe afterwards wasn't really in that great of a mood after that. Go tried to cheer her up with some honey to eat while they were eating, but she declined. And then the menace, Grookey, was able to cheer up Flebebe by messing with Go's hair after spilling a bunch of honey on his head. Before they snooze that night, Ash and Go give Professor Cerise a call and decide that they're gonna look for flowers the next day. Flebebe had trouble sleeping though as she dragged Go outside. Go understands this and goes outside and takes a little walk upon Flebebe's request to help it feel better. After that, we come to the next day with all of them searching for the right flower, but it was no use as it seemed to be that every flower that they would see would just not be the right one. Sadly, they ended their second day of searching empty-handed once again. They all go to sleep and Go is awoken by the menace Grookey. When he woke up, he realized quickly that Flebebe wasn't near him anymore. He looked to his bag and saw that Flebebe's old flower that he left in the container was not there anymore with the lid taken off. He then finds Flebebe trying to fly with this flower again. Go catched Flebebe from falling and voices his thoughts, how even though he has no problem with carrying Flebebe, Flebebe must be having a hard time not having a flower. Here he promises that the next day they will find a flower. Cerise calls Ash and Go back and tells them he knows someone that researches plants, so the boys head there immediately. This person owned a Florges, who related to Flebebe, who also lost its own orange flower before. While Flebebe watched Florges use grassy terrain on the flowers in the area, Florges' trainer told Go and Ash all about the Flebebe line and what they do. Flebebes are drawn to flowers, Floettes take care of them, and Florgeses protect the gardens. Ash and Go were told that a cluster of the white flowers were found deep in the mountains, so Ash and Go head there. On the way there, we got to see Go bond with Flebebe more, encouraging Flebebe that soon one day she'll have her own flower garden. Then they reach the mountain and search for the flowers. Grookey points out 3 flowers that are pink, and they walk past these flowers because of that. Even so, Flebebe glances back at those flowers before they leave. They search through the whole mountain for the whole day, but they just can't find any white flowers. It seems to be another day empty-handed. But Flebebe turns them back around to the pink flowers. Now with it being nighttime, the moon shines down on these flowers, and here they see the pink buds that we saw earlier bloom into perfect white flowers for Flebebe. They were even able to spot another Flebebe get a flower from this group of white flowers. The 2 Flebebes greet each other, and the other one swiftly flies away. Flebebe looks at the flowers and thinks about the chance of these white flowers being wiped out. Inspired by Florges, she attempts to use grassy terrain, which ended up with Flebebe evolving into Floette. Floette uses grassy terrain, which allows 2 more white flower buds to appear. Here, Go remembers something explained to him. Flebebes are drawn to flowers and Floettes tend to flowers. Remembering this, Go understands that Floette wants to protect these flowers and wants to stay here to do that. Knowing this, Go supports Floette and agrees to say goodbye, but not before a little walk, before the sun shined once again. With the sun rising and tears from Go, Floette, and Grookey, Go lets Floette free and releases Floette into the wild so that she can protect the white flowers. With this farewell, this episode comes to an end. This is what I love about this series, and I'm happy that nothing of this episode was spoiled for me. My rule in life is if an episode is able to make me cry, especially in an episodic anime like Pokemon Journeys is, it's a good episode. And I did indeed cry. Even though we didn't really get too much of Flabebe ever, seeing Go bond in this episode with Flabebe, seeing Go care for Flabebe, and later on tear up for Flabebe, or Floette at that point, it highlights more and more of what I just love about him, and is becoming more and more apparent of those things that I will talk about in today's discussion. It's crazy, I opened one Reddit post before I watched the episode, saw them say it was a bad episode, got sad, and then watched it anyway, and then I ended up tearing up. That's just... wow. The way they showed Go's bonding with Flabebe was just beautiful. I'm really happy with how it played out because it was just... I don't know, it was just perfect in my opinion. With the time they got, it would seem hard, but they really highlighted how much care Go put because of Flabebe being stressed out. Going out at night to help out with Flabebe, to make Flabebe feel better, that alone was beautiful. And watching back, Go commenting on the moonshine being nice was just foreshadowing that I was just not expecting. Heck, the unexpectedness of the ending for me and just the feeling I had this episode makes this episode so much better in my opinion. I mean, obviously the contents will always be more important, but I think me not knowing what would happen in this episode just made this episode so much more memorable to me. And I'm glad to see Go understanding Flabebe's feelings through everything. He was able to understand why Flabebe had trouble sleeping and how Flabebe was suffering without her own flower. Go was able to comfort Flabebe because he had a good idea in his mind of what was happening with Flabebe and was able to put that knowledge to good use. Comfort was what Flabebe needed, and Go gave her the love and care she needed at the time. There were so many wholesome scenes with Go and Flabebe, with Flabebe trusting Go and leading Go with his hair, and just the expressions through all of these scenes were just really nice. Seeing Go happy and smile when he was able to see Flabebe smile was something spectacular that hits harder than you would probably think. Especially in that Florges scene. Flabebe was overjoyed, and that smile from Go, who was looking on, that was just priceless to me. I'm happy to see him being super attentive to his Pokemon. It shows that he's really growing as a character, and he's really growing with his Pokemon. It seems to be that they're making his understanding of Pokemon a thing with his goal, which I think opens possibilities. For example, Go was able to see Iris understand Dragon Pokemon, and I just think, I don't know, it would be kind of cool to see Go getting a more touch on understanding Pokemon just from that. I don't know. But that was last episode. I still got to talk about this episode, and of course I still have more to talk about them because I haven't even gotten to the farewell scene that really made me cry. The turn back that revealed the pink buds being white flowers gave a whole bunch of goosebumps. At this moment, I was already super invested in Flabebe and wanting it to find its white flowers because as the viewer, we see Go's want for Flabebe to feel better. And that helps us understand how much this problem matters. So when I saw that they finally achieved what they wanted to after longer than they wanted, it just made me really happy for them. They fit in a perfectly timed evolution because of being inspired by Florges, and that's just awesome. They really used the time they had this episode really well, as this whole episode built up to the conclusion of it, the Floette farewell. And after seeing the bonding with Go and Flabebe and all of the care he would give to Flabebe when she was in need, seeing this happen made me really replicate Go's emotions. I teared up for sure, eyes went watery, and then that scene alone just ended beautifully with the sun rising and Flabebe being thrown up and flying away, and just with a wave goodbye, and that's when the episode ends. From start to end, I think this episode set itself up really well. It connected dots from the beginning more than well, to be honest. It wasn't short of any cute and wholesome scenes. Flabebe going on Go's head, Flabebe wakes up to Go, Go promising to Flabebe, all of those scenes and more, even Flabebe laughing at Grookey messing with Go's hair. And while connecting those dots, they didn't show anything really too unnecessary. They didn't play through them looking for flowers more than I would want them to do, which to me is really nice. We get the general idea of what they're doing, but it would get pretty repetitive pretty quickly. No wasted time. They had to get to the good bits after all. And in the end, this is Go's first time releasing a Pokemon into the wild successfully. What a good way for it to happen. I'm happy with how it played out. Thanks for making me cry again, Go. This episode really did a good job in making me feel attached to Floette in such a short time. With all the emotion that was put into every expression and every little detail, it just made me enjoy this episode even more. And that's before talking about all the beautiful scenes we saw with the sun and moon alone. They set up this episode to have such a beautiful atmosphere and all the emotion with it, and it went well with what this episode wanted to do. In the end, it was able to grow Go's character even more, while also just giving us a sweet episode to watch. I love episodes like these, and that is why I love today's episode, and I hope you guys did too. And that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy, please consider hitting the like button because it is super highly appreciated. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my videos. Did you cry? Well, I did, but let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Have a nice day, guys. Peace out. Love you guys.